In September of 2021, WomELLE and I decided to honor podcasters with Hey Podcasters. I had a chance to sit down with some boomer podcasters, seeing that I'm a boomer podcaster. I sat down with Lucy Forsting, Yvonne Di Vita, Alicia Lisa Hurt. We're over 50, we're smart, we're savvy, we're confident, we're having our say because our time has come. So, that conversation's coming to you, but first I want to tell you about the episode sponsor. PodcastAcademyOnline.com, a virtual academy that graduates podcasters. 7 weeks long, live online group sessions heavy on how to instruction, information, and accountability. Graduate with your custom designed functioning podcast. PodcastAcademyOnline.com, designed with the adult learner in mind. Schedule a free consultation. Go to the website, PodcastAcademyOnline.com. Hello, everyone. Well, we are here kicking off Hey Podcasters. And it just chokes me up. It really, really does, because this is a month-long celebration for all podcasters globally. It's a labor of love that WomELLE and I took on, and it's been 2 months in the works. A lot of energy and synergy has taken place, and we promised you one-on-one conversations, and we promised you panel discussions. We're talking about those things that you really want to know about. We have new podcasters, we have seasoned podcasters. So, welcome everybody. So, the very first panel discussion is Group of Ladies Boomers Podcast 2. You know, I know that for a fact, me being a boomer, that the millennials listen to podcasts, but us boomers, we listen greatly also, and we are podcasting. So today I want to bring on three ladies who are podcasting. They listen to podcasts. So let us have our say. So beginning this conversation is Miss Yvonne Di Vita, and she's going to give you the name of her podcast and what her podcast is all about.
Margot, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so delighted to be here with Lisa and Lucy. My podcast is a videocast, and it's called Smart Conversations, and that's exactly what it's about. I talk to a lot of smart people, and Margot, you were one. And we talk about life, we talk about reinvention, and we talk a lot about books because I like people to tell their story. I think our stories are so important, especially those of us who are boomers. Yes, we have so much to share. So Smart Conversations is all about that, telling your story and helping someone else who's listening learn from your story.
That's what it's all about. Very excellent podcast. It really is. And I consider all of them podcasts, but we won't get into apples and tomatoes. So thank you for being here today, Yvonne. But just really appreciate it. Miss Lisa, tell us.
Hello, Miss
Please.
Margot. I appreciate the invitation. Yvonne, always so supportive. I appreciate you. And Miss Lucy, I don't know if I met you, but it's so glad to meet you. As she said, my name is Alicia Lisa Hurt, and my podcast is Talk to Us Podcast, featuring the podcaster and empowerment business coach Pam Stone, who talked me into really using this platform for my elevation resiliency coaching business. And basically, what we all about is talking about eliminating the stigma of mental health, but also educating people on emotional wellness and how that can also, streamline and also elevate your mental health. And that's what we're doing over there. I'm new to the podcast scene as far as hosting one, but I'm not new to what it's all about and how it can help in so many ways in so many industries. So I am so proud to be jumped on that bandwagon with you all. Miss Margot makes it seem like it's so seamless, and just listening to her is just amazing. I want to really get you all's link, Miss Yvonne and Miss Lucy, because I have never heard you all's podcast. So I'm excited to jump on that.
This is what it's all about. The month of September is an opportunity for all of us to get to know one another. That's amazing. Thank you for being here, Lisa. I appreciate you greatly. Lucy.
Hi there. All right. So the name of the show is the Synergy Connection Show. And what we do is we connect the dots between our emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual facets. So as a therapist for over 35 years, and I still do therapy, I write, I've written a book, but I have about 170 shows now that are actually on the website. And so you can go to www.synergyconnectionradio.com. It started out as a live radio show. And a number of years ago, when I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, I had a live show back in the days when it was brick and mortar and you showed up and they did a live countdown, and then I was live for an hour. And so my show is an hour long. It's not a short show, but I have amazing guests, much like Yvonne does. These are all highly professional people I have a medical doctor that's coming on in just about 2 weeks. And he is so excited to be on the show because he wants to explain how to stay healthy. Our focus over the last couple of years, almost now, a year and 8 months with COVID and now with the Delta variant, has really been on I would say treating the illness as opposed to staying healthy in the very beginning. And so this show is focused on how to emotionally and physically and spiritually stay healthy, because then you can pretty much fight anything. But, we don't do that. We simply, I have one guest who has an apothecary store, and she's all about 25 years of wellness. And her comment was, we shouldn't be talking so much about getting the jab as putting down the Twinkie. And that is really where it's at, is people have to take responsibility for their health and wellness. So that's what the show is all about.
I love it. As everybody can see, we all are teachers. Each and every one of these podcasters are teachers. And we are giving out information that is just necessary. Who wants to jump in and share their why? Because now we're podcasters, but why did you become a podcaster? And at what age, if you don't mind? Or you can say, I was over 50. Hey, I'll tell everybody, I was in late 50s when I became a podcaster. No shame to it. It was a hobby. So anybody else want to jump in and, hey, I started this in my late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And why did I do that? Somebody want to jump in?
Margot, listen. Gee, I don't know how old I was because I'm trying not to keep track of that. I just turned 70. And I'll tell you, doing my podcast as a video cast was the scariest thing I ever had to do. Because, you have to show up. Ladies, you have to do more than you're not just the face and you sit there and you try to look pretty with your lipstick and your makeup. You have to actually show up. And at that point, Margot, because my blogging days, and blogging was the precursor to podcasting, everybody, my blogging days go back to 2004. And so when it became time for me to start getting serious about sharing all of the people I know who have some of the answers other people need, I decided, okay, I'm putting my stake in the ground. I'm going to start this video cast. I'm going to build up a library of smart conversations. And originally it was Smart Women Conversations because it was focused on women. I wanted women to learn how to raise their voice. I wanted women to learn how to tell stories, because women over 50 have so many stories to tell. And so, yeah, I've been doing this now for the actual videocasts I've only been doing for about 4 years. But leading up to it, I've been a blogger for 20.
Hmm.
Up.
It looks like you are
Okay,
muted.
I muted myself. I got so drawn in because when you said that you started in 2004, do you know that's when most men started podcasting in
Yes.
2004?
Yes. Well, Margot,
Phenomenal.
Margot, podcasting was not popular then, though. People weren't listening. They were reading blogs. And here's the thing. Blogs, when I say precursor, blogs introduce people to the idea of connecting online. And podcasting has now opened the door for us to connect in a more personal way.
So when we say, oh, those good old podcasters in 2004, we better go ahead and give some homage to the bloggers in 2004 because
Mhm.
together we built that bridge. Phenomenal. I didn't know that. Thank you. Anybody else want to jump on in there? Their why?
Well, I'll jump in for just a second. And, like I said before, as a professional therapist for 35 years, what I was seeing coming into my office on a daily basis were other professionals who just weren't happy. I mean, I guess that's the best way to say it. Their lives were not as fulfilled as they wanted them to be. They were what I call the walking wounded. And so they would sit down and they would be, teachers, clergy, PhDs. Because I was in Green Bay, I even had Green Bay Packers that I worked with. And so they had anxiety issues because if they got injured or weren't performing up to snuff, their career was done. And so they would sit down and they would just kind of go, I don't know why I'm not happy. And it was because they weren't connecting those dots. They were intellectually successful. Maybe they were physically specimens like the Packer players were, but they weren't connecting the dots, all four. And so we are 4 in 1. We are spiritual beings first and foremost. And so when we talk about ourselves, we are humans in a physical form, but we are 50 trillion cells that are vibrating at a frequency, and that is our being-ism. And so you have to connect those dots in order to live a fulfilling life. So that's the reason, that I did the show, is to help people live a joyful, happy, fulfilling life.
And by becoming a podcaster, Lucy, you're able to influence people globally, which
Yes.
is a deep, deep footprint. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots.
I hear you. Lisa, you say that you're the new kid on the block.
I am.
Tell us
I
again,
am.
why did you go ahead and decide to make that this plunge? It's a big step.
It is a big step, and it took me forever to even just simply go live. Facebook Live and whatever. It took me forever to do that. And as a writer myself, one of those bloggers, being behind the computer was all I needed, because I wanted to express myself and express, the brilliance of others through my writing. But I've realized, and I have this in common with you, Miss Lucy. I am also a therapist of let me date myself, but but at 53 now, and have been in the field, in the industry for so long. That's why I want to transition into resiliency coaching, to get out of corporate, for one, because I felt like it was more about the money. It became more about the money than it is about the people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I noticed in therapy, one of the common denominators is people don't realize what their innate strengths are. and their resiliency to get them through things, and what they've already done to help them through all the things they went through, right? So as far as getting on this platform as a podcaster, and I'm still working out the kinks and everything, still learning the industry, but I realize, like you all just mentioned, it's a global thing. And I also realize how many people are hiding in the dark, alone, and they're not really coming to us as therapists because they don't want to, or afraid to. So, I'm trying to help them see that they don't have to be afraid, and they don't have to be alone in doing this. They are resilient, and it takes resiliency to come to us and say, I need help. And I thought podcasting was a different way. A lot of people don't read. You know what I'm saying? They don't, that bores them, or it makes them fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? So but they rather listen to a radio now moving into modern podcasting. So that's why I decided to step out, get in front of the people, and show how authentic I am, and being resilient and wanting to help them also live an abundant life. And I believe that's my why.
You ladies bring up important points here. Nobody was really comfortable making the transition into podcasting, into video and all of that stuff, but you all did. And that is commendable. And you continue because you want the greater good for each of you. From what I hear is that you want to reach people globally. You feel so passionate, and you're such an expert at what you all do. Excuse me. You have put so much into what you do until you had to go ahead and go global, and fearlessly do it, and continuously, consistently do it. So that is commendable. And we're doing it past age 40. So as we're wrapping this up, I want to hear from each one of you. What is the one takeaway that you will give any person over age 40 who's on the fence, and they got that, as I say, I'm fitting to, I'm going to be a podcaster, I'm about to, one of these days. What do you say to that person?
I'll take that. One of these days may not ever come. One of these days may never, I don't want you to regret it. And that was my thing, regretting not being on a platform that allows me to show you how being able to use your voice is one of the most powerful things to help you stay resilient, to help you be abundant, and to help you help others do what they do too. So I would say, do it now, because the next day, tomorrow may not come. And that would be the reason I would say, try it. At least try it.
I'll jump in next then. What I would say to anybody who's thinking about doing it is, everything begins with the first step, right? A journey is 1,000 steps, and you have to take the first one. And there was a young man who actually died years ago in Green Bay. He was only 15, but he had a saying that I think others have used, but it was his favorite one. And that is, the journey is the reward. And so if you think of podcasting as, it's a destination, it's someplace that you're going, and you never really arrive, because every show is different. So there's not an end in sight. It's a matter of just taking that journey and letting life show you where it wants to go. And so we can't predict, we can't control. It's really a matter of trust and believing in yourself, and believing that the universe is going to guide you where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So here's what I say, Lucy, to people sometimes about what you just said, is I tell people that in the game of life, the person who reaches the end first is not the winner.
Mhm.
So for podcasters and anyone over 40, the biggest question I get in my work and with my clients who write books is, who's going to read my book? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about what I have to say. And that's not true. That is so not true, because you are so unique. Your story is so unique. Everything that you've experienced up till now to bring you to this place where you are is unique to you. And yet the troubles that you've had, the joys that you've had, the experiences, those are things that can help someone else. Those are the things that thousands of people out there are looking for. Because in the end, we know there are a lot of podcasts, but let me tell you, have you ever been to a library? There's a whole lot of books in that library. And guess what? If I'm interested in a particular kind of book or a particular genre, I'm going to go to that space and I'm going to take out 5 or 6 books by different people. So start your podcast now and tell your story.
Mhm.
These answers are, I hope that everybody takes this away. These answers are phenomenal. They are authentic. They are coming from women that bring a lot to the table. So I'm looking at the clock. I really want to thank you ladies for joining me today. Yvonne, Lisa, Lucy, what can I say? It seems like we were having some feedback or whatever, but you know what? This is what happens when we venture into these waters. We do it. We don't expect it to be perfect every time we do it. That's the boldness. That's the risk taking that we take every time we get behind a mic. Every time we say, let's get together and let's talk about our experience. So if you're listening, overlook the technical things that are going on and hear the meat of what's being said. All right? Hear the meat of what's being said. So I'm Margot Levette, here with WomELLE, and as I say, all of September, we are celebrating podcasters throughout the globe. So thanks for listening. Thank you, ladies. Everybody get a big wave. We're going to have to do this again, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
See everybody later. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.